Today marks 2 whole months since Gojo Satoru has died, and I can't lie, that time has flew over fast as fuck. Like seriously, the manga world literally changed when Gojo died. Nobody saw this coming, and if you did see it coming, you didn't quite see just how cruel the turn that JJK hit us all with was gonna be. And it left a very, very deep hole, like a hole actually so deep that motherfuckers on the internet started real life memorials in train stations to mourn this man. We even had motherfuckers on Twitter literally contacting the Taliban in what might be most bizarre conversations I think I've ever seen on Twitter when it comes to anime and manga. Like genuinely, it was a roller coaster to watch it unfold. But it seems like today marks 2 months, and I thought it would be a good time to look at Gojo's death, the build up to it, the events that happened afterwards. So if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's just get into this video. A little trip down memory lane right here. Gojo vs Sukuna lasted from chapter 223 to 236, and it went on for months. Like I'm sure it hit like 3 months, and in every week the fandom was in meltdown on who had the edge in every chapter. Everyone was on the edge of their seats. Who landed the most hits? Who had the rawest moments? Who was hitting the coolest lines? Who did the most in the chapter? And who took the most damage? And every week it was a battlefield on both sides of the fandom. You legitimately couldn't mention either name of Gojo or Sukuna without getting jumped by motherfuckers who were ready to die in battle for their chosen anime dad. And shout out Quirkless Shinobi for that one. But the fight itself, it completely changed the landscape of Jujutsu as we know it. Jujutsu Kaisen Society, the actual manga, everything. It brought to light things we didn't even know were possible, and JJK was just reinventing the wheel with almost every chapter while simultaneously giving us some of the best panels we've ever seen. We all of a sudden got RCT for chaos techniques, which we didn't know was a thing, but it was kind of hinted at because if a chaos technique is the body and the body is the soul, you can kind of RCT the soul, which it was kind of crazy, and the theories that came out of it as well were just nuts. For example, there was this panel of Gojo being sliced up to bits by Shrine, and it was hard fucking core. Like I remember seeing this live on my stream, and my chat went crazy when Mayamura tweeted out the next panel will be brutal. My chat went insane. It was crazy. It was truly a time to be alive, one might even say. Truly peak times to be a Jujutsu Kaisen fan. However, result of this fight and Gojo's death and the dreaded chapter 236 is what really tore the internet down. It tore the internet asunder. Gojo's death was quick, it was sudden, and it was definitely unexpected, even after being declared the winner by Kusakabe in one chapter, to have us violently ripped from that reality in the next chapter. And finding out Gojo had been killed and having him possibly one of the most heartfelt, wholesome reunions with Geto, Haibara, Nanami, and Yaga, and even Toji, Riko, and Kuroi actually made guest appearances there, which I thought was kind of funny having Toji in the background there. Like, dude's just a straight up certified hater, but he was there anyway. But chapter 236, while being an extremely divisive chapter in the fandom, it gave Gojo an insane amount of depth character, and for me personally, it closed out his character's arc beautifully, in my opinion. However, not everyone shared that same opinion, for sure, because a lot of others hated what JJK did. They were talking about character assassination. What a waste of time having him fight Sukuna if he was just always going to lose. And for me personally, I think the signs were always there that he was going to lose. I think at first, I always had the theory that Gojo was going to be the last man standing, but then the more I looked at it, I was like, hang on, he's kind of like a narrative roadblock. For him to exist currently, our main characters, the main cast, and everyone that's been being brought up by Gojo can't get further in their stories while Gojo is present, because he's just the Superman of the world. Why would they need to deal with stuff if Gojo can deal with it? You know what I'm saying? But I do think it's okay to be angry with the series with Gojo. He was and still is a extremely loved character, and it's very evident from the fact that real life memorials were put together for him. There aren't many times that kind of stuff happens, and that's kind of crazy. However, after seeing Jogo's death and how it was handled in the most recent anime episodes, I can now kind of see the vision for what JJK is going for and what he's cooking up, and I envision these episodes where Gojo is declared the winner and it all goes white, and it's the exact same thing that happened to Jogo, and it keeps this theme running that Sukuna isn't ever shown killing the strong fighters that he faces. Whenever he kills someone weak, they're just bam, on screen, brutally murdered. It happens all the time, but whenever he fights someone who's actually capable of fighting, who was strong, instead it's almost always a white screen and a flashback or an in-depth look at that character at that moment of their dying. For example, Jogo, we got hit with a white screen and an in-depth look into his character with Hanami, Jogo, and Dagon, and even mentions of Mahito there. Same thing happened for Gojo. We got hit with a white screen, a flashback, and an in-depth look at his character, which really wrapped it all up in a nice and neat little bow. Same thing again. Kashimo, he got hit with the white screen a flashback and an in-depth look at his character. And even with that point right there, we even got more lore for Sukuna. And it feels like every time we do this, we get more and more a little bit of building for Sukuna. And it's definitely a trend that JJK is setting, and I wonder where he will go with it. But now that the dust settled, Gojo has been laid to rest, and we move forward as Yuji arrived on the battlefield sporting some new shiny arms and an incredibly evil look on his face. And I won't bore you with all of my Yuji theories. Instead, I will recommend that you go over here and watch these videos, because I do have a lot of Yuji content on this channel. But not only did Yuji arrive on the battlefield, we got to see Heian era Sukuna being reincarnated and facing off against Yuji himself, only for JJK to hit us with the old bait and switch and give us a flashback of Kenjaku doing whatever he's been doing instead. And obviously that garnered a lot of angry reactions, and to be honest, I think a lot of it was warranted, but more often than not, it was actually the vocal minority talking about how they're going to drop the series and how they're sick of JJK's ship, which, in light of the previous episodes, if your hero Gojo was just brutally murdered in a kind of shocking way, I kind of see it. Personally, it was a super emotional response for a lot of the fan base, and in my opinion, when chapters like this drop, I always try and remind myself that JJK has cooked before, and I always try and remind myself of what he can cook in the future. And I always say, please just let the story play out. You've got to remember, it's a week-by-week episode, it's a week-by-week chapter, so before flaming it, just let it play out. Have patience, see what the man's cooking, because for all we know, everything that JJK is doing right now could be tying us into one of the most important plot points within the series. And whenever it comes to stuff like this and we get flashbacks, especially when it concerns Kenjaku or a main pivotal character, I always pay attention, because there's always little nuggets of information that just give you a little bit of depth, a little bit more details for these characters, and that's how JJK rolls things. Overall, that series, it truly reached incredible heights over the past few months, and it feels like for me, Jujutsu Kaisen just simply dominated everything in Shonen when Gojo and Sukuna was happening. It just felt like it was truly a generational fight filled with tiny little details, references, nuances, the likes of which I don't think we will see for a very long time. And if we do, for me personally, I don't think it will hit the same. But I wanted to get on here and reminisce, take a little trip down memory lane, because 2 months is, that's kind of crazy to think 2 months ago we were all sat here cheering Gojo vs Sukuna, which is kind of crazy to think of where we're at right now. But everyone's so divided about whether they're enjoying the chapters with Takaba vs Kenjaku or not. So it's kind of interesting to see how 2 months is a lot and how much it changes everything. But that is everything from me. I appreciate you all watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to like and subscribe. And also, I have a gaming channel right now, so you can go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description and in the pinned comment. But as always, I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Much love. Big kisses. Peace.